Is Keir Starmer in deeper with child trafficking and grooming gangs? I'm going to show you this video and I hope you watch it right to the end. It's about child sex offenders who have been given warnings since 2008, and Keir Starmer's name was at the top of these documents when he was head of CPS, and this is going to be one big scandal and there's lots of questions to be answered. And why do I say there's lots of questions to be asked? Because everything, the whole web of grooming gangs, child trafficking, Keir Starmer seems to be involved somehow. And, you know, even down to the Mandelson in the Epstein files, he didn't want to release all documents. He was pressurised into doing that. Now that's being investigated by the police. There's lots going on around Starmer. So we have the Epstein files, we've got the grooming gangs, we've got the rent boys, no answers on any of them, no investigations going in. You know, the rent boys, they've kind of gone quiet. What's happening with that? You know, like I said, there's a big web of lies and Starmer seems to be right in the middle of it. So maybe we need to start questioning him. Watch this video and let me know your thoughts on it.
How did you get to the bottom of this investigation?
Right, so this all came from, I was looking into grooming gangs in London, and I was looking through investigations that didn't really come to pass, but there being strong evidence of there being a grooming gang. And one of the lines that we noticed was a girl who'd been coerced to go to a hotel, been raped by multiple men, and then one of the officers has said, why don't we give them a child abduction warning notice? So immediate question that me and my colleague that were looking at this had was, okay, what's one of those? And when we dug into them more and more, what we essentially found was that in the years that followed the Rotherham Rochdale scandals, the police were looking around for a way to tackle this massive problem, which had always been there, but people they were turning a blind eye to, right? And these paedophile ASBOs were kind of the perfect response, because what they would do was, when they would come up with a concerning situation with a child, or actually even worse than that, clear evidence of exploitation or child rape, they would give one of the suspects one of these warning notices. Now, in the in the bit that you just read, they said that they're effective. That is complete nonsense, right? We went through to see whether there was any test of whether these things were effective, and the research, you just see a long trail of academics all saying, we need to do more research to see whether these warning notices actually work. Now, the Keir Starmer bit kind of came at the end, because when we were going through it, we're kind of like, okay, so the police started using these to tackle them. When did they come about? Well, Mr. Starmer, who is quite keen to talk about in the House of Commons, I was the Rochdale prosecutor, I was the first person to do that. The first mention that we find is in the report that you've put up on the screen, where it talks about drafting and agreeing them with police chiefs. Now, why on earth the CPS was drafting and agreeing a tool for police chiefs to be using for this, I don't know. But the name on the top of that document is Keir Starmer. And they can say, oh, you know, there's lots of other stuff going on. When he wants to be involved as being the grooming gangs prosecutor he is, and when there's something that's a bit inconvenient, like this, which has been used, it's the #1 tool. Disruption is the #1 way that the British police deal with child sexual exploitation.